Hi, it's David here with Futures Trading. I said I was going to put this video out on the weekend or sometime next week, but because they're actually setting it up right now, I want to go ahead and put it in front of you right now. All right, so this could probably benefit you into tomorrow's trading, definitely going into next week. Now, I got a year worth of data up here. We can kind of just scroll back and look at it a little bit, along the way to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So let me kind of pull this back here, and then we want to take a look just kind of backwards and move ourselves forward. All right, so open up the candles just a bit. This is a no-touch method. Several ways to trade this. I'm gonna just tell you two of them. So two of them will get you going just fine. You don't really need to know anything else. It's really simple. All right, so the bar with the acronym on it. The method number one is this: if you see the bar with the acronym, they shouldn't go past that bar. All right. So as I move forward now, in context to this, I know right here they want to above the bar, but this acronym won't show up until when I explain what's making for the signal. You'll get it. Uh, but this bar has an acronym as well. What's making for it? Let me go into that so you'll get it. The low of this bar, okay, is not touching the mid of that bar. Now that black line on all of the candles is just the mid of that candle. That's all it is. And we don't want the low of this bar to touch that bar's mid. Now, the sense of it is this. The low of the bar is a pivot, clearly. Top of the bar is a pivot. That's why it doesn't matter per se what kind of bar it is, respectively. All right. So as you can see, this bar here has a red acronym on it because I'm looking at the low of this bar, not touching this bar's mid. Now, it's them breaking the low of this bar and running away from that low that's important. All right. It's kind of like a pivot. When you break a pivot and, if they can run far enough from the pivot, clearly they're really, giving it, giving it to anyone who's going in the opposite direction. And that's what I'm essentially doing here. Um, the low of this bar should not touch this bar's mid. Okay. And so let's just say, for the sake of saying, if this is a pivot and they don't want to let, traders out, they when they get back above that price, they probably won't close and just take off again. And that's pretty much what's happening with the second approach. So this bar's high should not be essentially having a close, and that's what's making for the price level that I put out. All right, with the activity from the 24th, I believe. So we did not we don't supposed to close above this bar. Okay, that's number one because of this kind of activity that's going on here. Now, the first way to trade it is clearly if you see the bar with the signal, they shouldn't go past that bar at all. Now, the one before it, the one that it's happening to, you don't want to see them close above the high of that bar. Now, that's the second way of trading. To do this, you can not use the moving average, but I suggest you use anything from a 10 to maybe a 20 period moving average, anything in there. And moving average of your choice. Simple, exponential, doesn't even matter. But just try to get you a bit of a filter so you can kind of stay with the momentum of the market or the direction that is headed in. Do you need a moving average? No. You can take just what I'm saying and trade it. You can. I'm trying to show you stuff that you can apply. Just if you're a trader that like technicals, if you're a trader that just want to trade price action, you can do it either which way. So step number one, you see the bar, no touch is what I call it. And again, there's several different ways of trading this. I'm gonna just give you two of them out of the box. This bar did not touch this bar's low, didn't touch this bar. And I do not care so much what the color of the bar is. It doesn't matter. Preferably, for it to be the color of the direction they're heading in. So low, don't touch here, stop and go there, no close back above there. Now I'm gonna scroll through the chart and just kind of let you see where the acronyms are at. Again, your stop can be there. All right, so your stop can be there, and we're using the low of this bar. It's a green bar, but it's not touching that bar's mid. The acronym comes in. Uh, and if you look at today and yesterday's activity collectively, you'll know what I mean by, hey, you can kind of get in it before this bar even close if you see this setting up and you automatically have a stop placement. And I'm gonna show it to you on a 1 minute chart so you can kind of see it in context of today's activity as well and kind of see how it works. So no touching here. Okay, so the stop can go here, and you really don't want them to close above here. All right, so as you can see, we kind of referenced that quite a bit, and then we dropped. All right, so that's the idea behind that. All right, now you can go through your chart. I'm not going to just drag you through every scenario here. Here's an interesting one. I just spotted this one. Here's an interesting one for you. uh, they had the signal show up here clearly, but it's the low of this one you do not want them to close beneath. So even though they overshot this bar, no close beneath this price, they turned around and they went up. All right. Here's well, that's not gonna work, but you kind of get it. It's the same thing as this one. It can work. It can work. It's just they went past this and they didn't close beneath that bar. So it'll work in that regard, but it's kind of what this is. I was going to see if it was doing something different, but it's not. It's kind of doing the same thing as this scenario here. So it's all the same. But that's what you're dealing with. Here's another one. They're kind of just jumping out at me right now. But here's another one right here. Just because this bar has that acronym, and it's like a dual placement for you. Like you can, jump it here just below that price or whatever and trade the momentum of it. And know that they shouldn't break here, but at the same time, you don't even want them to close beneath here and they take off. All right. So here's today. And this is again the same chart. I just stripped it down. There's nothing on it, but this matter of fact, let me remove some of this stuff. But this is that same alert that I gave you. All right. So now you'll kind of understand why I say, hey, you definitely don't want them beneath here because the signal was on this bar. So they shouldn't close beneath this bar's low. They ran down and then they pull back up. Now this one didn't work. All right. So this one didn't work. And that's fine because you had this bar. And again, these bars are inside of this bar. Even though they broke above it, I'm talking about the body. So that's a whole nother different kind of setup. And I think I told you about that. Like they'll do like three to four bars inside one, and then you'll finally get a push of momentum out of it. Now the direction is all in context. So, but this is what I was talking about right here. No close beneath this level, and definitely this was like a hard line in the sand because see, once you start going through these, that's not what you want. So hard stop placement, but at the same time, had they done this, here's another chance for them not to do that. And that's what I said. I said, you don't want them beneath that I believe it was 630. What was that price? Let me just do it this way. 631.50. All right. So and then they wind up racing back up. Now here they're doing it now. And that's why I said I'll go ahead and just do the video now to kind of help you out. The mid of this bar, they're not touching it. So before that bar even closed, you kind of got an idea of what should happen. So moving forward, the low of this bar, you don't want them to close back beneath. So even if they turned around and tried to shoot back down here, just expect them to pick it right back up and try to get back above the low of this bar. All right. Now, let's take a look at that on a 1 minute chart and then I'll let you go. Just want to kind of put something in front of you that you can ideally see that's not too subjective and it's simple. All right, so let's look at today's activity. Let's kind of go back here and look at the range in conjunction with it. All right. And this is the same chart that I used earlier. That's why you got the boxes on it, but that's not really relative to what I'm talking about. But we'll just leave that there just for now. You'll see all the bars with the acronyms on them. Okay, now that's the range. I'll open this up a bit. That's the range. And so now you can see that your stop placement can go behind the bar. Now here it didn't work, and rightfully so. We're trying to get bullish. I mean, we really are, but they eventually got under the average, and that's why I say just pick an average that kind of makes sense, and that'll give you somewhat of a filter in some regard. So this one didn't work. This one didn't work. So they're doing something different right here. All right. So now you got the scenario here where this bar's low is not touching that bar's mid. And again, depends on how fast they're accelerating, this bar and how much time you have on the clock. You can kind of probably go in and jump it and know stop and go behind that bar. You definitely don't want to see them back above there and so forth and so on. You can kind of see it, on the way down. All right. So now I'm gonna just kind of scroll through the chart and kind of give you an idea on the way. Let me move some of this stuff while I'm doing this. You can kind of get an idea of the stop placement and how all of that can play out and give you a chance again to benefit from all of that. So when you see all of these wicks, for instance, let's do it right here. All right. So when you see all these wicks, all right. So we had this signal here. This bar's low, the low of this bar, you don't want to see them close under it. All right. Kind of the same scenario with this guy right here, this little guy right here. You have the signal here. Don't close under this bar's low, and the stop can go behind this bar. All right. So it's kind of one of those things. So they managed to get past this right here, and I understand. I mean, you got several overlapping bars here, and they're playing games. So I totally get it. But once they get on their way, begin to look for that scenario. All right. So here it is. We pushing up pull back down. And again, here's a scenario to the downside. I showed you the upside, so let me show you the downside. Here's the scenario right here where you had the signal to have this bar here. Okay, to have this bar here is important. And as you can see, they tested it. They went up above it. Now remember, the stop placement needs to go behind this little guy right here and then catch the push. All right. So this bar low isn't touching that bar's mid. And of course they up there again. And then they did it twice and then took off. All right. So they did it here, because the signal is under here. Okay. The signal is under, well, it's supposed to be in this one, but you had a signal here. So then it makes it this one. So when they, push down, they don't supposed to close under this bar. They kind of got past that one now, I understand, because you're turning around. So go with one that's one just a little further back, and you have this one. It's kind of like the daily. You got two of them kind of layered in. So do not close under this one. They went right back off of that and kind of took off. Now off the open, because I know the open is like the thing. Okay, so now let's do that 9:30. All right, let's just look at that really quickly, and then we're going to get off here. All right, so clearly you had the scenario here. All right, you had the scenario here. You had it here. All things considered. So the signal here, you can go past the bar, I guess. That makes sense. Well, they actually didn't. They pulled up to it and stopped. But this bar's low isn't touching that bar's mid, and you don't want to see them close above that bar's high. You don't want to see them close, and they actually stopped there. Usually they don't do it so refined like that. Here's a signal here. Don't close above this bar. It's kind of in here. I mean, you can see it. So. But that's that method. Okay, it's just a no touch method, and there's several no touch methods. I know this is two of them. All right, it's just two of them that I'm willing to release. And again, you can go back to your charts and take a look. It's really simple. Again, I'm not putting anything in front of you that you can't really just spot on the chart. And hopefully, again, it'll benefit you. It only takes 2 bars to get it going, and you can possibly spot it happening in the actual transition of the bar that's trading. All right, so I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.